The financial sector just simply dreads the month of September that's just gone by. In 2001, the twin World Trade Center towers in Manhattan were struck by two commercial aircraft, and that shut New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ for a whole week. In 2008, Lehman collapsed, and that paralyzed global markets. Now, last year, IL&FS in India filed for bankruptcy, and that completely seized India's shadow banks. For 1 year now, Dalal Street has been gripped by a death wish, and that culminated in the bizarre case of Altico Capital, and that again happened last month in September. Now, Altico's story is actually surreal. It's an unlisted non-banking finance company, NBFC, and it's founded by three global giants who manage worldwide assets of nearly $300 billion. Now, that's strong parents, right? Altico itself has over 500 crore rupees in equity and 3,000 crore rupees of net worth. Its profits in Q1 this year, that's April, May, June, were over 75 crore rupees. The company had more than 550 crores in cash. I'll say that again. It had 550 crore rupees in cash. And yet, it defaulted on a paltry interest payment of less than 20 crore rupees to Mashreq Bank. Yes, less than 20 crore rupees when it had 550 crores of cash in its book. That's bizarre, right? A similar defeatism has gripped India's financial markets ever since IL&FS was, treated like a biscuit company or a shoe company. Now, get this. When a biscuit or a shoe company closes, very unfortunately, a few workers lose their jobs, and some customers can't have their favorite biscuit dip, or they can't have their favorite slip-on slipper. But when a systemically critical finance company crashes, it sends a cardiac tremor through the economy. Many things: savers, lenders, borrowers, investors, consumers, all of them end up gasping for breath, dying. So you know what? Killing IL&FS created an awful trade-off. It saved 25,000 crore rupees in current liabilities, yes. But you know what? It destroyed almost 25 lakh crore of value across the economy. Now, right or wrong, IL&FS, like UTI in 2001. Remember UTI in 2001? That was so quite remarkably bailed out by the Vajpayee government. Now, similarly, IL&FS was always seen to be a quasi-sovereign entity because it was owned and controlled by a clutch of public sector behemoths. I mean, that included State Bank of India and the Life Insurance Corporation. While its debt was nearly 1 lakh crore in September 2018, that's a hefty amount, 1 lakh crore, it needed to repay a mere 35,000 crore rupees until the 31st of March 2019 for the next about 7 months. Now, it had the headroom. It could have hastily sold some equity and some assets which were quite sellable, and that would have got it about 10,000 crore rupees. That left it with a shortfall of 25,000 crore rupees. Now that's it. That's all it needed, an immediate bailout of 25,000 crore rupees to keep all the assets intact. Otherwise, the contagion would have been, and unfortunately, as recent history has shown us, it was devastating. Now, within weeks, the markets wiped out 10 lakh crore of investors' wealth. That was clearly not the time to, have these academic arguments around nuances about moral hazard. I mean, that was the time to spray calm into the markets. The government had a plethora of options. For instance, it could have created a superior debt or equity instrument for NIIF, that's the National Infrastructure and Investment Fund, which could then have installed a brand new management and overseen an orderly rescue, because the company would have had cash, no defaults, no panic, and that would have allowed it to sell assets over the next few months and years. Now, here's another alternate the government could have done. It could have very quickly calculated, the vastly denuded net asset value of the company because assets had gone bad on the balance sheet. It could have calculated that very quickly, what the real net asset value was, and then floated a rights issue of shares at half that value. Now, if it had done that, imagine what would have happened. I'm sure IL&FS's, pedigreed shareholders, SBI, LIC, others, they would have jumped at the very mouth-watering gain of 50% on their rights equity shares. Now, imagine other shareholders would have also jumped in, especially if they were assured of a public listing within a year. Now, IL&FS would have got equity capital. The balance sheet would have gotten strong and would have gotten so bolstered up, and everyone would have actually been happy. Now, whichever option was chosen, the defaults had to stop. Unfortunately, the government acted like that proverbial deer who's sort of trapped in the headlights, cannot move, just becomes motionless, actionless. No option was chosen. The defaults, unfortunately, did not stop. Over 400 companies, and that's double the number compared to the previous 12 months, have filed for bankruptcy since then. So, you know what? By refusing to cover a temporary hole of 25,000 crore rupees, the economy must have lost nearly 25 lakh crore in value. And what's worse, it continues to lose copiously even today, 1 year later. So, what were the lessons the government should have? And I believe perhaps it still can learn from the IL&FS meltdown. 1. Systemically important finance companies, as I've said, not shoe companies or biscuit companies, finance companies, they inflict an exponential damage if they are not rescued. 2. Overall economic welfare increases if finance companies are saved because a general cross-sector pain and slowdown thereby gets preempted. 3. There is a moral hazard only if wayward owners are given a lifeline instead of being punished. They must be punished. But there is a moral benefit, not a hazard, a moral benefit if the underlying asset is saved. And I repeat, asset must be saved, even as unscrupulous founders and managers, you take them to the law, you take them to the cleaners, you literally figuratively hang them, but save the asset. I truly believe that Prime Minister Modi and his economic advisors should internalize these 3 principles that I've just told you about, especially since they now wish to be seen as dramatic tax cutters and rescuers. और अगर यही विचार जो मैंने अभी आपके सामने रखे अंग्रेजी में आप हिंदी में सुनना चाहते हैं तो आप हमारी हिंदी क्विंट की यूट्यूब चैनल पे जाइए और यही वीडियो आपको हिंदी में भी मिलेगा. एंड ऑफ कोर्स यू मस्ट नॉट फॉरगेट टू लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल राइट नाउ.